Peter. Evening, everyone. Let's go ahead and get our meeting started. I'm Sean Stryhall. I'm one of the trustees, and
Karen Tozy.
Chris Pratt.
So we're the three amigos. But if you could stand for the pledge. There is a flag on a house over there on that point. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
We didn't expect such a big crowd for a real boring meeting like tonight, but
Thank you for coming.
yes, thank you. This is what we need in the village. I mean, we need more participation of our neighbors, so it's good you're coming to these meetings. Couple of quick things. Like Karen said, we just wanted to thank you for that. Rules and conduct for the meeting. We usually ask people to hold questions until the very end and write things down. That makes it easier for us to answer or go through things. However, I haven't asked these two guys this. If you have a burning question on something that we cover and you're like me and you're going to forget it in 2 minutes, you can go ahead and ask, and we'll try to answer everything that you have there. I had one part. So tonight's budget. I mean, that's 99.9% of what we're going to talk about. And I know we've got some people who've lived here forever and other people who are new to the village, but just a little history. The last time we talked about doing an assessment increase, tried to do a vote on it, I believe it was in 2021. I was talking to Lisa, our old bookkeeper, this morning, and that failed, and the board had to use the Schneider case, which if you've read the emails and stuff, you know about that, and did a 3% increase. So the village, to the best of my knowledge, has never passed an assessment increase in the 50 years that it's been there. The assessment increases that have taken place have been largely as a result of friendly lawsuits where things were not getting done in the village, like the roads were, there were still a lot of gravel roads and stuff like that in the village. And one of the lot owners basically sued the village and said, you need to fix the roads. And the judge came back and said, well, you can't do it on the assessments you currently are taking, so you have to raise assessments by such and such an amount. And that is how our general assessment part has gone up. Pretty much the same thing for the lake assessments. That was a court order that we have to have a certain amount of money that we start putting in lake assessments. So part of the history that I wanted to get across on this is the village for 45 of its 50 plus years has really been operating on a shoestring. And as you'll see or hear as we talk through this, we've got some major things that we need to keep a hold of, like the lake and the dam and a couple of other things like that. So that's just some Incline history, what we're looking at. So for the budget review, our role as trustees, we have a fiduciary responsibility to maintain village funds, and looking at our projections, we are going into deficit spending, technically are this year, but going into deficit spending next year, and it will be getting continually worse for the years after that, which puts us in a bad financial position. If you read some of the things we put out, I know we have some realtors in the room, but lending companies start looking at the financial stability of subdivisions. If when they're looking at putting a loan on an $800,000 home, is it really going to be worth it if Incline Village can't maintain streets and the lake and all of that kind of stuff? So it's in all of our best interest to be able to at least maintain what we have. We have, over the last couple of years, we have made cuts in staffing. We've made cuts in road upkeep. It had been for a while that 150 grand or more had been spent on roads, and it was needed, but we have tried to cut that down the last couple of years to $100,000 on roads. This year we went over on that. We went to 120 because we had some cul-de-sacs and other places that had to be thrown in there. But that is one of our biggest expenses, and something that we're looking at different ways that we can try to reduce cost on the roads. Our projections that we put out, those all show road budget at $70,000. And we've had the trustees, I've had a lot of, I won't say heated discussion with the finance committee, but discussions with them. We've disagreed. They wanted to spend a lot more. We wanted to pull back on that. I honestly, I'm going to say both sides are right. You know, the roads need to be fixed, but we need to also maintain our financial stability. So we're looking at cutting that to 70,000 a year, and hopefully we don't have to do that if we can get things moving. A lot of people ask about where our money had come from and how we were able to do a lot of different things. The village has been able to sell lots that were owned by the village in this area. Some of those were buildable lots, so they would go for a lot of money. Some of them were not really buildable. People bought them for amenities. But even those lots would still pay anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000, you know, give or take. We no longer have lots that we can sell to balance that out. So, you know, if you think about it, if you look at the budget sheets that we've sent out, this year we're looking at a $3,000 deficit, or next year, which in the past would have been offset possibly by the sale of one $40,000 lot. So that's basically where things have come from that. We have also been doing a lot to try to increase the money that we do have. Karen did a ton of research. I don't know if you want to talk at all about the Schwab stuff, but.
Well, basically, you know, we have phase one, which is the general operating budget fund, including our escrow fund. And then we have phase two, which is strictly Main Lake. And that's all it can be used for, is Main Lake. So that money was sitting at Missouri Bank drawing a 1% interest. So we got a hold of the bank and we got the interest up to about 3.5% as long as we're over $500,000. The problem with that is it's a bank. We still didn't have FDIC insurance for the majority of the money. They were backing it up with their bonds. We were able to go to Schwab, and we've got the two majorities of the phase one reserve fund and the phase two reserve fund are now in CDs and bonds that have a guaranteed return with the length of, you know, each product. Now, when you look online, it'll look like you've lost money, but as long as you hold it to maturity, you don't lose any money. Most of that ranges from 3 to almost 4%. So just round figures, I'm calling it 3.5, which in today's economy, that's not bad.
Yeah.
What we do know is when phase two, the lake needs dredged, that entire account will be wiped out. We do have money coming in yearly, but the money that's sitting there right now, and all this actual dollar amounts are on your Incline Village Info financial pages. I don't have them off the top of my head, and I'm not going to tell you anything that I know could be wrong. But it's, you know, when that dredge comes up, that money was put so that we would dredge in like 3 years, I believe is what we set it at.
From now.
From now, yeah. But there's still money coming in, and all that phase two money, the $300 of your annual assessment that's due April 1st, that is only for that lake. That's it. Whether it's dam repair or dredging, you know, main things like that. The operating funds, we do have an escrow fund that's fairly healthy. The deficit spending we're talking about is the income coming in from the $586, is that right?
Yeah.
The assessment, that's what we're running out of on a yearly basis. And Sean had that all put in his nice presentation that, again, I don't remember numbers, but it shows you exponentially how we start losing that money. And that's only if you do the things we've been doing and not add any more of the upkeep things. There are capital expenditures that a lot of people want, some people do not want, but in order to go forward with that, we need more income. So it's your community, and we have to, it's our community too, but we have to plan ahead, not just do the day by day and react. We need to know where we want it to go and to keep it up as a Class A neighborhood so people do keep your home values up and it's still a pleasant place to be.
So we'll hit some of the things Karen was talking in a bit. Chris, I don't know if you wanted to
Nope,
jump in on
I think we're
anything.
good.
Okay, so basically, we're going to move into the red. We are moving into the red starting this coming year. I didn't mention a few things like we've talked about this a lot, but the pool, we saved a lot of money switching the pool out, and now the gates are working really well, so hopefully that's not an issue for people. But questions have come up. I've had 2 people email me questions about the budget, and I wanted to hit some of the answer to that tonight. Reserves was one of the questions. We do have reserves, basically a savings account for the village. There is no requirement in Missouri for an HOA or a property owner association to have a reserve fund. The recommendation from the industry is that you have at least 70 to 100% of your operating revenue in the reserve fund, and that would be for a normal HOA or community that doesn't have a lake and all the other stuff that we have. So our unique needs that I was talking about, small lake maintenance and repairs. We've got stuff that we need to do to some of our small lakes. Road upkeep, the concrete entryway needs repairs, and we're starting to look at bids for that. And if you drive in through the front, you know it's pitted and potholed and it's getting to be a mess. Snow removal, we're looking at that. We continue to look at that. We have one of our trucks is dead, so we're down to 1 truck, and we're going to sell the dead truck, hopefully for as much as we can get from it. But it was basically bleeding from everything, so it's not doing well. But that would be another thing we need to discuss as a trustee group, and maybe in a meeting like this. We've talked about hiring out and having people come in to do snow removal, but that's expensive. They don't necessarily get it cleared when we want it to be cleared, and they don't necessarily do as good a job as some of our guys in the village do. So it's that, or do we have to go out and spring for another truck, which would be expensive. As Karen, facilities upkeep, we have a 20-year-old community center. The roof, the HVAC are all 20 years old, and as household owners, we know that's getting close to the time where things need to be replaced. So we have to plan for that, and a lot of that needs to be planned out of to come out of what we have as reserves. So right now we have about 103% of our operating revenue in the reserve account. As Karen said, phase 2 assessments that we get can only be used for the main lake. And I'm going to throw this number out here. It could change. Hopefully it does, but we've had guesstimates that the next time we have to dredge the lake, it's going to be as high as $2 million. So we have just under $1 million in the lake fund and right about $1 million in the reserve fund. So if and when the lake requires dredging, we as a village cannot take out a loan. So we have to use our funds to do that, which is one reason why the past trustee groups have been very protective of that reserve fund and trying to build it up, because we also want to avoid having to go to a judge and get a special assessment passed just because we need to drain the lake, or dredge the lake.
It, not drain it.
Or drain the lake, that might be the easier solution, but
Preferably not.
So anyway, as you're looking at those numbers, when you look at the reserves, right there off the bat, we've got $2 million roughly that we're looking at. I think the last dredging was
1.2, I think.
1.2. So, we've got that. We've also, if you've been around for a while, if you read the newsletters, you'll see some of this in there too. The concrete weir had cracks in it 3 years ago. We had to have those repaired. And we got, the good news, bad news is the repairs may last for 20 years or they may not. And if they don't, then that entire concrete section, the recommendation was to replace it, and that could be well over $1 million to do that. So things we want to avoid. So this was in the budget sheet that I sent out that everybody got. We've been talking about this for well over at our group since Karen's been on the board, but the boards over the last several years have all been talking about it, and with the finance committee we've talked about getting to the point where we're in deficit spending, and what do we do once we get there? Well, we're here, so now what are we going to do? We tried to be extremely conservative looking at our numbers and looking at our income and debt and payments, and we were looking at things going up by 3%. But as a example, our village insurance went up 7%, I think. Jane?
Yes.
Yeah, went up 7%. So that's, and we all know that, insurance is ridiculous right now, but that's something that we need to start accounting for. So the budget sheet, we looked at 3 different options. And no surprise with this. The first one is the one that we as a board think makes the most sense because it takes the least money out of all of our pockets. It's a short, that's the one that I was calling the Natty Light budget plan, because basically you're not going to pay any more than a case of beer a year. So each year your assessment would go up. I think the first 6 years it goes up under $17, and then the last couple of years it's 19 to 20. So that is if we did the 3% annual increase, which would, I'm probably trying to over-explain it, but every year for 10 years our assessments would go up by 3%. Then and that keeps us in the green the whole time we're doing it. It's also enabling us to build up more reserves and also possibly look at some capital improvement things that we as a community might want to jump on. The next one was we said, well, what if we do a bigger increase one time? So a 10% increase would mean a much higher annual assessment right from the start. But that would be a one-time 10% increase. Our yearly assessments would jump from where they are right now to $600 a year for the next however many years that's in place. Then we were looking at the problem with that is it only keeps us in the green for 6 years, then we go back into the red and we have to come up with another solution. The last one is a one-time 25% increase. Be a huge increase in our yearly assessments, and it would jump us up to basically $682.50 a month, or not a month, sorry, for the year.
Everybody, mass exodus.
We're selling right now. So, but anyway, bring us up to $682 a year. So,
Which is still only $100 a year more than where we're at right now.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, and we may not dig into it all tonight, but we were looking at what other subdivisions around us charge for their annual assessments, and Karen found a whole bunch of things that why don't we can email those out to people, but I'm sure some of you have looked and already know that there are places, some of the subdivisions in Wentzville that only have a pool and that's it, are charging a lot, maybe double what we're charging for our assessments. But
I think one of the ones I looked up is Jackson Estates, which is right off of Dietrich, and all they have there that I'm aware of is the concrete roads, and there's $500 a year for that.
So,
I believe that is what I wrote.
yeah, that just means we're trying to be fiscally responsible, so
Yeah.
more than that. But so our recommendation as a board is that we do the 3% annual increase. It would have the least impact on all of us as residents out of our pockets, but at the same time maintain property values and maintain our ability to build up our reserves and keep things on the positive end.
Well, just 1 second on that. So one of the reasons for looking at doing that one specifically is that every year the income part increases as obviously the costs go. So it keeps us close as we go, rather than that jump at once and then we're in the same boat and you're having to do it again. And it kind of puts us in a good state health-wise as we go without having a significant 1 year jump for any of us, in our assessment.
The other thing that I have up there, I've mentioned it a few times. We've talked about it in other meetings, but the Incline Village Board of Trustees versus Snyder, that's on our website. If we have a vote on an assessment increase and it fails, then the board has the right to go ahead and look at what the federal cost of living is, and then add up to 2% on top of that, not to exceed a 5% increase. So part of the problem with all of this stuff too, it costs us a lot. There's a legal cost to doing all of this. This court case set up how we do a vote for our assessment increases. Basically, you'll get a letter asking you to vote yes or no on it. You'll have a stamped envelope that will go straight to our attorneys. They will hang on to it until the day before our meeting. Then it gets transported here and doesn't get counted until the meeting has started. So, and that was by court order going back a couple of years. But that means we have to pay the attorney fees to do all the collecting and gathering of all of that. And we'd rather not do that a whole lot of times. So if we can do it once, knock it out, it seems to make a lot of sense for all of us.
That one mailing has about a $3,000 cost, isn't that right, Ed? So we have to do that though, because that's according to the indenture and the law.
Yeah. Yes. We'd have to do that to do any assessment increase.
Well, but I thought that was allowed for you to increase that 3%.
It is, but only if there's been a vote and the vote on an increased assessment and that's failed. Yeah, well, that's
Correct.
Yeah.
Doing it that
But-
way basically defers an entire year's increased revenue that goes to expenses that do not come to us.
Right. So if we
I thought you were automatically increase.
yeah, if you look at it, I think it's around paragraph 15 or 16 in the Snyder lawsuit, but it's fun reading if you can't sleep. But yeah, but it's there, and like Ed and Karen were saying, it's $3,000 each time we have to do that, do an assessment increase. But if we can do the 3% annual, then we do it one and we're done for at least 10 years. So voting, I don't want to get into this a whole lot tonight because there's so many different things with it, but since we're talking about this, I wanted you to know that we'll be sending out the usual letter before the annual meeting. It will have all the voting guidelines in it. We do have our attorneys looking over to make sure that we follow everything exactly as the law says and our indenture says when it comes to an assessment increase ballot. So we're being careful with that. But all of the voting guidelines are going to be posted in the next newsletter. And I think that's all I had on the budget stuff, but do you want to ask questions now or cry a little bit?
Let's do some questions now,
Yeah.
I think. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I just had a question. In the language of the
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's specific for those 10 consecutive years.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's part of the language we want to make sure that gets in there and it's very clear.
Good. One
Yes.
right here.
Well, I sort of have a solution for your budget crisis. Does anybody here know what the south side is? Yes. Okay. So your 3% that you're proposing from this year to next year, whatever, how many thousands of dollars increase is that? Gross, not
For the village, I'd have to go back and look at the chart. It's
So we as a community, as well as you guys, own 280 lots over there. More paying taxes on. So the thing of it is, everybody in here is gonna have to buck up because it's gonna take money to make money. We're sitting on over $1 million profit over there. Somebody's got to get the kahunas and figure out how we're gonna hire the appropriate lawyers to get that job done.
So I will tell
I'll be
you,
70 years old, 10 years from now, and I'll be living at the same crap.
We-
Nobody's gonna do it.
we've been looking into that. We can't get into a lot of detail with that because we have had an assessment done on it. We've had a couple of other things done looking at that property. There are a lot of concerns with what we could or couldn't do over there. There are lots that have most of those lots have liens on them from the original builders. And to get those paid off, what do we figure it would be, close to $1 million?
Yeah.
So in order to pay off those liens, we would have to pay $1 million of our money. So we're not really.
Not necessarily your money if it's done right.
We've been discussing it with our attorney. The other issue over there is control of our lake and making sure that we're not opening up access to the lake.
That was the whole point of buying all those lots.
Then the other part is putting in the infrastructure over there, which would cost the village.
Exactly, you're never gonna do it, that's not your problem.
Yeah, it
You have
actually.
to you gotta get those 6 people out of there. 2 of those people, why would even buy property over there? You've all seen the homes in here, KLC builders built about 20 homes in here. Why did they go over there and buy 2 lots? Just to piss you off or what?
Excuse me.
Speculating. Yeah.
Could you tell us who's speaking? Because I don't think I know you.
Very well. Ryan Lindell.
Oh,
Ryan Lindell?
Lindell.
Lindell.
We own 2 homes and 1 property, so we own 3 properties now.
So,
Been out here since 1996. I served on the board from 99 to 2002. So don't think I don't know anything about what goes on out here.
oh, we know, people know. And it's not being hidden. It's just
And
like,
I'm not railing on you guys, but damn dudes, we gotta do something with that over there.
I'll tell you right now. Bottom.
It's just
Tag Pam in.
Pam, go ahead.
Okay, as a volunteer, have spent over a year. I have a professional relationship and I have a volunteer relationship with the village. I've spent over a year working on the Southside Lock issue with them. So I will tell you that there's been recorder of deeds, looking at all this, looking at the St. John's Bank lien, looking at other things that exist on the property. And yes, there are 6 names over there. That seems like a small thing. None of this is without great cost to the village. So I support the trustees right now doing very extreme due diligence. We are not real estate developers. This is my opinion, because I hold a professional real estate license, but I'm also a volunteer. But we are not developers. And years and years and years ago, to settle that whole situation, we got somehow put in a little bit of a role of the developer. You now own all these land that's platted. You know, that's where I say that, but there's no infrastructure. We've looked at the easement deeds. We've got all the legal documents, and they've all been sent to the attorney. So we were able to, in the village, we could use some volunteers, go do the research and send the information, so we weren't paying no legal aid to go to the courthouse. Because some of records, and I didn't hear your name, sir, but I'll refer to your time here. Brian, sorry, I read your name, it's in the room Wisconsin. But some of these documents you can't even find online. You had to go to index cards in the court files to find them. That would have cost us a lot of money if your lawyer was sitting over there. But I'm just suggesting that they are working on it, that they're doing due diligence, and that I think that there'll be information, but it might be a few more months because it's a very complicated legal situation.
It definitely is.
Yes, but they've been really working hard on it.
When
So-
did they start?
I could go back and look, but I believe in my involvement was a year ago, June.
There was another study done 10 years ago or something.
Yeah, there was
And I'm sure somebody in here knows that better than me because I wasn't around then. It was more like 15 or 20?
Yeah, we actually
You know?
found the notes and the recommendation from this older committee, and they got to a point and stopped because of this St. John's Bank agreement. And then we had to look at, does it still exist? It's tied to deeds. Yes, it does. We saw the last time it was paid. There was a payment made to St. John's Bank in 2018 by a lot that was sold over there. There's been contact with St. John's Bank. I am sure that in my personal opinion, we can maybe try to negotiate some of that, but they in no way whatsoever have dropped that money. They're just waiting for it to be sold.
I'll just simply say this, Sheriff. You're sitting on a cash cow over there. And what it's gonna entail from all of us, there's gonna end up being probably a one-time assessment. You're not gonna hire some Joe Blow in Warren County or something. You're gonna have to hire an expensive freaking lawyer to make that all happen. You have to have a deal with Linsenhuber would be perfect. You know who Linsenhuber is? He built CMAC. He'd love nothing more than to buy that property. But you have to have a deal with him first, pending deal, before you can move forward on all that. Hell, it costs a couple $100,000. But in the bigger scheme of things, if you can put some numbers together, that's well over $1 million payday.
That would help a lot.
We're paying taxes on it.
The taxes aren't that high that we're paying right now. We've got the financials on the website. Sorry, go ahead, Ed. Yeah. So there's, I think what Pam was jumping in, there is a lot of, there are a lot of other things coming into play with looking at that. And we've been working on it for, I would say, well over a year now as this board to try to figure out if we can go anywhere with it.
I'm not railing on you guys.
We appreciate
It's a
that.
good,
You inherited this.
Right.
We have to do something to move forward.
well, and I will tell you, 4 years ago, we had a discussion about why we were still hanging on to that, and we went back to the study that Karen cited that Pam had found from 10 years ago, because on the board at the time, John Haynes and I were thinking we should start looking to sell that property and try to push this off a little further. But the other issue with that is that's a one-time deal. If that gets sold, then we're kicking the can down the road. Plus, we don't know what gets put in over there. We start losing our say in that.
You sell it to Linsenhuber. He controls what he does. You keep a 100-foot easement around the lake.
That's been mentioned.
Regulations in.
We've been working with our attorney on possibilities with it, and honestly, I mean, it's been something we've been working on for quite a while. So,
Right. And
I
we're-
can't.
I'm sorry.
I was
Just real quick. So, yes, we have options of things like that. Our long-term health strategy of our finances cannot come from angel things forever, right? And I think that's
Both things need to happen, right? Like I think that's what he's saying.
sure. So yes, potentially yes, right? So, but at this,
There takes care of your 10-year plan.
well, potentially. I mean, again, sure. And again, as we've been discussing and we've talked about here, we're looking at those options too, right? But if that doesn't happen for 2, 3, 5 years, who knows? By the time we navigate through this, we're already out of zero funds at that point, right? So at the very first thing we started with is a fiduciary responsibility, what we have. Now,
Here's my problem with the whole situation. We could all right here, right now, come to an agreement about how we can proceed like the south side. You guys aren't gonna be here forever. And
True.
there's gonna be a new board, and they're gonna have a different set of priorities. And this cycle goes round and round and round. I've seen it for 30 years. So how do we lock this down?
well,
And do what we need to
I think what you heard from Pam is the amount of time she's been spending working through that, of giving us those options. But I can't wave a magic wand and fix that today, you know?
Our options are not throwing good money at good lawyers to make it happen. It just is what it is.
Okay?
Sorry.
Well, thanks for the feedback.
This has been going on for a while. When I was involved, it was going on, and it was just getting started. We were trying to get hold of lots and everything. And it has been moving forward, and it is something that's got to take time to do it right, because the things they're keeping in mind, you want them to sell that to somebody who wants to develop it. What if they put septics all over there? And they all think, like, they're trying to be very selective and figure out and get it to the best for the village, and it's gonna take time, but it is moving in the right direction, I can assure you that. And they're trying to preserve the whole line of lots along the lake, so we preserve the aesthetics that we have, and we control that, we can control that land there, and then everything built beyond there is where the developers will come in. But, I mean, I've seen a lot of progress, and it takes a lot of work. There were so many lots when I started investigating and working. I was working with a guy over there, and there were so many owned by different people, and the people were selling off, and they were picking them up. The trustees have been going on their own down to the courthouse, going to pick up these lots and get them for us, so that we can have a big pod that we can sell. So it is working, and it is just going to take time, but I think we're going to see it sooner than later.
Hopefully.
I would also add that it's very difficult to develop that over there, because behind the point out there, Danger Point, I mean, there's a big valley that goes across there. So it's going to be very difficult to provide road access from the east side to the west side of the lot. I mean, it bisects it, so it's just, we're going to be very costly. Somebody has to sell it.
That's not our problem.
So I'm gonna try to, if there's any more questions, but let's move on, because we all agree that we know we have a potential dollar value over there that will have costs. We don't know what profit will be. We don't know if it's going to be in the best interest to let that be developed, or to replot it and manage it as common ground and figure out a way to use it for us. Or, I mean, there's options. We all know that. But we're not going to solve that right now. We do know that everybody's working on it in a positive fashion. I know I personally contacted someone today that hasn't paid dues in 30 years, asking her to sign the quitclaim because it went to tax sale last year. So hopefully, everybody put your hands up and say, please let her sign that damn deed tomorrow or whenever we can do it. And I know that you had some more questions, so I don't want to stop. We need to get moving on too. So Pat, did you have?
I just want to say, don't liens expire in 10 years?
I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how it all. Yeah.
They do. So why are we even talking about it?
I think a lot of them, they don't. Well, I'm hearing they don't expire. Our attorney, we haven't really talked to the attorney about when they expire, but we do know that it's an issue because we've talked to our attorney about the St. John's liens, and that's not cleaned up.
Would you entertain another group getting together just to come up with alternative ideas?
For-
We need more ideas, we need more creative ways. We looked at property over there, we were talking about buying a mover over there. There's people doing that. And really need to face it, and it's going to be a boom for the community, not a downside. To have a lot of nice other houses over there is only gonna help.
To answer your specific question, I personally would love to see a committee get together and come up with more ideas. I don't know that we can share all the information that we have at the moment because of legal reasons.
Why can't you share the information?
I just said because of legal reasons.
What are
Because
those legal reasons?
I don't know. I'm just talking off the top of my head. Some things are private.
Actually, Pam can probably answer this better
I'm
than.
going to say something, because there's been multiple attorneys involved, including we did a search and talked to the top carrying rights attorney on the Missouri-Arkansas border, because that's where the riparian rights get. But what I'd like to propose with the trustees' approval is at the annual meeting, our newsletter, we will put together some information so that and if you want to email me the Jay had questions, and I will put together the stuff, and they'll send it on to the attorneys, but it's not just one attorney that's been involved in this. I just want to say there's been the village's attorney, we've had a riparian rights attorney, we asked a real estate attorney, but did not hire that particular one because we found like they didn't have expertise. Because you're looking at, these are platted land right now, and it's platted in the Incline village.
Right.
So it's got to be, we've got to look at how to go through Warren County's master plan too, which is not a big issue. But in Warren County's master plan, we just need to be aware that it has to be replatted before. So it's like, what all things do you want as conditions of the sale of this? And there's a lot of them. You know.
Well, why can't we, like, if you guys are for us, like, why can we not tell us things because of the legal reasons? What does that mean? Why can't we know what you know?
So I'm going to say this from my background with schools and school districts. When we were looking to buy property or sell property, our attorney said don't talk about it because that leads to speculation on the property. I see a lot of people who are realtors in here nodding their heads yes. So the less we say as a group and leave it to our attorneys and to the real estate agents that we've hired, the better deal we might make on that property. If we know we have had people who have bought property over there, speculated on it. There's one gentleman over there who has owned a lot for a couple of years. He heard that years ago that we were trying to buy the remaining lots over there, and now he won't sell for less than 80 grand, I think. And the lots over there appraise at 10 to 15,000.
An acre, not per lot.
Right. Yeah.
Slow down on $1 million plus properties.
So I've been in construction, and I've been around like replot land, I've been around all of this, you know, and I've been around, I was starting to build in Wayne Haven there, where that new subdivision went in, that exploded, and it backs up to that new park they built on DD. You know, I watched people camp out while I was building in that subdivision, like when we were building the spec home or the original home, like I don't even know what I'm thinking of. But anyways, I watched people camp out for a week to pay $125,000 over asking price on their lots. You know, like it doesn't really matter if he wants 80 grand, man, and that's what it's going to cost you. Sometimes that's what we have to do. I'm not saying we're there now, but like we're going to have to pay more because they have us by law, right? Like if we want those fucking lots back, we're going to have to pay in order to make.
Either that or we figure out how to cut those lots out and sell the property without them.
Right. I mean, like if you want to go that route, you're talking.
Again, all I can say, we've been working with real estate agents and we've been working with an attorney. There are a lot of pieces that we need to look at with it, and we have Stuckmeyer, our attorney, is one of the best in the area for that. So I have to leave it at that, and what several other people have said in here, it is not an immediate solution to the problem. It will take years. Right. But you need to understand that the last several boards have looked at that, and again, go back to the 10-year study that was done for years. I'll throw Nedra's name out. I don't think she's in here. Nedra has been pursuing lots over there for years to try to lock that up, and it just takes time. And
You get stubborn and you don't pay somebody
I don't think anybody said we were doing that. We're just not at that point.
I think the thing that maybe everyone's not understanding is that we don't have the money to plow the streets. We don't have the money to go give somebody $40,000 this year, not a lot. How much money do we have to raise our assessment for us to even have the opportunity to do what they're talking about? 25%. We need to raise it to have enough extra money to even consider doing something. Right now, we need to figure out how in the hell we don't pick up sticks out of the lake with our hands in it. We can't buy property, we can't sell.
So that's been going on for 20 fucking years and they haven't done anything about it.
We need to raise.
Excuse me. Watch your language. That's one of the things that we asked at the beginning of this. This is getting recorded, it's going on YouTube, and we don't want to get slammed against us. I usually like to bring my son, my young son here, and I don't want to hear that kind of language in front of him or any of our other people around here.
For cussing, it's okay, and I'll watch my mouth. But like we've been doing this, we've been running this game for years and years and years and years, and like we're trying to play catch up. You know, it's too late. Even 3% isn't going to do us any good. It's not going to do what even I have said. You know, 25% each year for the next 5 years may do it, but we're trying to patch the Titanic.
Did you look at the projection for the 3%?
Yeah, I looked at it.
And did you see that what we make each year goes up quite a bit?
It keeps us afloat doing the same thing.
It pushes us ahead.
Doing the same thing we've been doing for the past 10 years, working ourselves. So in 10 years, we're going to be in the same boat again.
Okay, I'd like to take a break here because we're all getting kind of hot about these subjects. Again, and I just
real quick,
sure.
with the deficit that we're seeing coming, are all the new lots that are being built factored into that, like now operating lines, putting in new homes? I don't know how many you guys are going in there.
That's a very good question that I do not have the answer to.
$4 a lot, if there's 50 lots, there's $200,000 in an operating fund alone.
But it's there again, we're counting money that isn't there yet.
Right.
You know, the thing is, it's what is that saying about the value is when two people agree on what something's worth.
Just a simple question, I don't know what's right.
Yeah.
I just want those numbers for you.
The numbers
Right.
reflect what we had in February,
Right.
basically.
So I want to do a little summary here just because I can. And we've got the budget set up and we know how it's proceeding from past expenditures. What isn't in there is the capital expenditures that some people are still asking for. You know, we still have a gate system that is a controversy. South Side, that's a big controversy. What else do we have that we've talked about before?
Well, just any other expenditure not part of our current budget, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
any more improvements to the beach and the parks area. Parks Committee raised thousands of dollars on their own. Volunteers. If you factor in every hour that every volunteer on any of these committees spent, I don't even know how to give you a number of what that hasn't cost in annual assessments. I know this group here, what do you think I know you spend probably at least 40 hours a week on this. I don't doubt that it's less than that.
But it's worth every penny I get paid, or wait,
And you don't get
we don't get paid.
No, but we do it because we believe in this system and we want, you know, I can honestly say that this group, we want to have clarity. We want to be consistent. We don't want someone coming in here with a boat that says, well, I passed this last year, but I know I'm not supposed to have it. Sorry, it can't go on the lake. These are the kind of things we deal with. Somebody's dog pooping in somebody's yard and then not picking it up. We get calls about that. To me, that's all. I can't say the word because this is being publicly recorded. But my point,
And
you
I
all know it,
apologize for yelling.
we are here to make improvements, to make sure that this is a community that people like to live in, they want to grow old in, they want to raise their kids here. You know, we've had a heck of a lot of vandalism lately, and even with the cameras, we can't prove who the people are, which that's crazy too.
Well, and just as
That's
a
my
si-
high horse. I
I-
hope that made sense.
I would say as a side note too, we're getting less than positive reception from the sheriff's department
Oh, yeah.
in Warren County. And it's an election year, so just think about that as we move forward. But do we have other questions? And I do apologize for yelling. Sometimes I get heated. But do we have other questions to try to hit?
We've got one right here. Oh, unless you got another one.
No. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Pat.
Just to clarify, if the village does not oppose the amendment to increase that way, am I correct in understanding that means that you folks, any board, has to go through the legal process to get it increased anyway?
Yes.
Thank you. And I know why we want to do the vote, because we want people to participate and understand what's going on, and I wish we could get that 75%. But if we don't get 75% of the vote, then the board has to take those actions.
I think for an assessment increase, it's only 50%. Mhm. So.
How many votes is 51?
I could throw a number out to you, but I'm not.
I
Call it
think
400.
we can get that answer for you.
We'll. Some of this stuff we'll try to have answers for you in the next newsletter. Let's see what we get. Any other questions? Okay.
Are we ready to move on to committee updates?
Committee update. So construction committee, not a whole lot has changed since our last quarterly meeting. We have had at least one builder now come in and is building under our new guidelines. So that meant their construction deposit went up to $7,000, and they signed off on an understanding that if they worked beyond the scheduled hours, they get fined if they don't have silt fences in place and properly keeping things from mudding up the street. There's fines for a lot of different things that we did not have the ability to do before. So there are a lot of existing builders right now finishing up projects. We can't find them because we didn't have this ready. It had to be written up by the attorney and then signed off on by.
Their documents are different.
Yeah. So any new builder coming in now is signing a document saying that their construction deposit is $7,000 and it can be forfeit, or parts of it could be forfeit if they allow their subcontractors to come in down the concrete road, which they're not supposed to do. So that's basically all I have from the construction end. We've got about 15 or 20 houses in the village that are currently at one stage or another of construction. Yes, yeah.
I would like to ask a question about that. So you guys have your rules, you foresee things, and I think it's in the, whatever you call it, Article 2 in some paragraph something. We all know we have water mitigation issues out here. Okay, well, in your rules and guidelines, it specifically says you can require them to get an engineer's report. So why are we not doing that?
We've done that with several properties, several lots, but honestly, we haven't done it with everyone.
Kudos to you, but it's probably too little too late in a lot of cases, honestly.
To be honest, it was probably too little too late 20 or 30 years ago.
I would disagree.
But that is another capital improvement thing that we have discussed and would like to discuss, I think, at the annual meeting and with other groups, having an engineer's report done on water mitigation in the village if there's anything that we could do, but that would cost.
What I thought you could, when a new home was built, the way I read that, you could require them.
For that home, but a lot, and a lot of our water issues are coming from homes that were built the way things are being built 20 or 30 years ago. So we've got roads that flood that have been doing that for 20, like I said, 15 or 20 or 30 years. But we can do one lot when it's getting built and work with that, but
But if we're doing that, that's all I'm asking.
yeah.
You can't change the past, but moving forward, like granted, there's not too many more lots to be built on.
The other thing that I could add to that is we all know that the problem's there. It was created because we don't have stormwater runoff. If you have problems on your lot because the next guy built up above you, you have the right to personally sue him. That's person-to-person problems. That's not a village problem. And I know that sounds like we're passing it buck, but that's the law.
I sort of disagree with that in terms, I'm not a lawyer, but if I have an existing house, the new house goes in, and they're on a 45-degree incline,
Right?
and now all of a sudden my property starts to get flooding, you have the ability in all your rules, there should have been an engineer's report about how they're gonna mitigate that water so it doesn't affect the property. That's where I'm going.
Right, I understand that, but my point was that, again, after the fact, if you have it now, and we've had the builders argue with us about the culverts and the culvert pipe, and they put one in, and then to make the yard look pretty, there's no ditch in front of the road anymore.
That's in your control.
That is, and we've fought it, and we keep fighting it, and that's the only answer I have for that one.
Yeah, and right now, because it's piecemeal throughout the village, because, and we're dealing with it as it comes up and doing what we can with it. That was all I had with construction. Ed, did you want to say anything, finance?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, I want to reiterate that the budget is a shoestring budget. I mean, there's no fluff in those future expenditures. The other question I had with the trustees is, are we able to allocate the interest income return on the lake assessment to the village? Or is that interest income has to be paid?
We've agreed that any interest that comes in goes to the operating expenses for the year. And then after that, then we've still got to fund the reserve funds if there's money to fund it. That's the
Yeah.
way we've written it up.
Okay, 4th of July.
1 second, just writing down your question, Ed, because I want to make sure I got that down as we go. Yeah, we're pretty locked and loaded. We were behind early on, but yeah, we're really excited for the 4th. I know my wife shared the parade route. You know, we'll make sure that goes in the newsletter as well. But you know, I'll solicit folks for help on the morning of the 4th to help move over everything from the storage building by the water tower over to the dam. Pickup trucks work best. Trailers, there's just not a lot of room to turn. It makes it tight. Last year, I think we almost made it in one trip with all of us. We kind of convoy over without going into too many crazy details, but you've got to load them in order so that they all go on in the right area. And I know that we have a lot of support for that, so thanks to everyone. And then the other one, obviously, is the day after on cleanup. So the last few years, we have had the dumpster brought right over onto the dam, which makes everything so much easier. So as many folks as we can get to help with that, the better, but it all just goes directly in. It makes it a lot easier than how we used to do it in the past. We're really excited for this year's show, obviously 250-year anniversary to celebrate. So with that in mind, you know, we considered a lot of that. Just want to thank everyone who's donated, business sponsors who've stepped up, people who've volunteered time, social committee for allowing us to do food at Band on the Beach. You know, and all the committees actually have helped in their own way through it. So we're excited for a big show. You know, I know it's something special for our neighborhood that, you know, the four of us on the firewood committee are honored to be able to do that for us all. Yeah, it's we're pumped. And then just one other thing I did test, just from feedback last year, and every year we get a little bit better, is that I did test an FM transmitter, or we did test an FM transmitter a while ago. Similar to like if you go look at someone's home when they have Christmas lights, tune into this into this frequency to be able to hear the music that's timed to it. We don't time it to music specifically, but the DJ is the one announcing everything that's going on. And if you're up here or if you're on a boat, you can't really hear him. Whereas
Right.
this year, I'll publish that frequency so you can tune in on your radio and hear as he's going through kind of the master of ceremonies, so to speak, as we go through it. But really excited and as I said, honored to be able to do this for our community.
Okay. Kids Club kind of got folded into social committee, so do you want to just do your whole thing right
Do my
now?
whole thing right now? I'll do my whole thing. And to add to Chris's thing, if we could get help the morning after, that's a really, really nasty job. But, you know, last year we got done in like an hour.
Yeah.
We had a lot of help, and we just start super early because of the heat, so we start at 7. So any help that I can get the day after would be greatly appreciated. And social committee, we're the fund committee. We're gonna light this thing up. We have Band on the Beach coming up June 27th with Incognito, and that's being sponsored. This year we have a new idea. We have $500 sponsorships, corporate sponsorships, which help us to pay for these bands. They're not cheap. Bands are running us anywhere from $1,200 to $1,800. It's a lot. It's a lot. So by having some corporate sponsors, this last one was sponsored by the home team. This one's being sponsored by the Izzy B Foundation. Parks Committee is going to do pulled pork, and the ice cream man's going to be there with his truck to buy ice cream from. July the 4th, the golf cart parade, as you know, got posted today. That begins at 10. We line up at Upper Incline. July the 19th is our first ever cardboard boat regatta at noon. Please private message me, Judy, or Betty if you plan to enter. I kind of need to know how many volunteers I need. So if you could let us know. We won't tell anybody that you're entering or what your boat name is or any of that. Band on the Beach again on August 22nd. Our very own draw is going to be the band that night. That one is now sponsored by Ottawa Authority. Fireworks is serving food, and Malicious is there for dessert. Band on the Beach again, September 12th is the Ed Callison Band. And we currently don't have a corporate sponsor for that, so if you know somebody that's got $500 laying around, I'll take it. Because that just, it makes it so much easier for us, because this is expensive, guys. These bands are expensive. And this is so unique for us to have this. Other communities don't have this. They have it maybe once a summer, if that. So and that's where you meet people. That's how we become the community. So, and you know, we can only do so many bingos, so many paint and sips, and so many margaritas on the golf course to be able to pay for these things. Fireworks is doing food that night. Also, Kona Ice will be there for dessert. We do have a paint and sip on the calendar for September the 28th. That's been a popular fundraiser. We can raise anywhere between $500 and $1,000 on those. So please come out and support that. Fall Festival is October the 10th. We are always looking for volunteers on that because there's a lot of things that go on that day. We do have Double D booked to just have a nice little quiet, you know, like band on the side with our beer garden that we started last year. And then we, of course, will have the bounce houses for the kids. And Trunk or Treat is going to be on Friday, October the 23rd. We're bringing it back to the clubhouse area, to the parking lots up here versus the beach. No bonfire. And the little kids panic a bit about the porta potty. So it's nice to have a potty available for them. So that's why we moved that back up here. Plus, it's just easier. It's easier to maintain. And that's what we got going.
All right, cool. Moving on, Pam, Parks.
Parks Committee, annual golf tournament yesterday. We don't have the numbers in. We had a glorious day for weather. Couldn't have been nicer. We had 25 volunteers, 5 additional businesses that helped out in special ways, and we had 144 golfers. And we have our meeting this week, and this year's goal was to work on a new swing set for the community center, so we'll be expanding that. And but probably won't start on that until the fall when everything goes on sale. That's all I got.
Then moving on, roads, I don't know, Dina, Karen.
Oh, boy.
Hello,
I
how are
will
you?
pay for that. But.
Roads Committee. Our Tim Beal is our go-to guy for the Roads Committee. We've got several roads still on the list to be repave this year. As soon as we get dates for that, we will publish it in a, newsletter or email and on the Facebook official page. We're still getting bids to repair the concrete section. For whatever reason, people aren't returning calls for his bids. So I'm going to reach out to another asphalt company to see if they patch it. Because it looks like most of it's going to be asphalt patches, but some of the worst parts, they're going to cut the entire concrete out. But I don't have a bid on that yet. And then as, depending on finances going forward, we'll budget the rest for the other year, another year.
This is a dumb question, but some of the roads that we're gonna repave, are we done building in that area? Are they gonna?
The one that still had a lot of building on it, we chose not to do this year for that very reason. We did spend a lot of money this year fixing the, what do you call it?
Trenches.
Where they trenched, they couldn't trench, so they broke the road up. So we fixed that. I know there's at least one still down on Village Drive West that's going to need to be done.
And new builders who are trenching, we've been holding them accountable for it. We've been holding on to their construction deposit until we're sure that it's done right. We've had a couple redo their trenches because they sank within a couple of days. So, we don't want that problem to continue.
Right. And if you've got a spot that's on a road that isn't scheduled to be done, if it's a really bad spot, email the office and say, hey, work requests. We've got this problem here. Will somebody look at it? Because there's, small patches can be done. But when we're doing the whole roads, we'll get that published ahead of time.
Since we're cutting the budget, we went from 150 to 100 to now we're going to cut it to 70. What's your solution to the roads continuing to be worn down and not having the money to fix it?
In worst case, we're going to have to dig into the reserves, which is kind of why they're there. We're going to look at roads. If they're in dire need of repair, then they're going to get repaired. But doing this gets us to where we can increase from that 70K to 80 to 100 and maintain roads if we get that.
I know you had a couple ideas, Jake, about how maybe.
Yeah, like a solution, like having a solution to the actual problem, like our roads being beat up and everything else. We have 3 different trash companies that come through here, and I don't know if, again, I've been around a lot of heavy equipment and everything else, and those trucks are heavy and they do damage, man. They're bouncing, they're flying around our streets, whatever, but they do damage to our roads. And 3 different trash companies touch every single street in this neighborhood every week.
Yep. I agree. I mean, we called them in about 3 years ago and tried to start meeting with the trash companies to see what they would do for us. And then I put information out in the newsletter, and to be honest, people freaked out. There are some that love Sutton, and they won't do anything other than Sutton. There's others who want Grace. From what I understand, I think it was 10 or 15, maybe 20 years ago, the village tried to limit it to 1 trash company, and something happened, and they were not. The village in the indenture does not have the right to limit who hauls your trash.
Just a quick thought, but 2 homes were built, I could look at on that window and watch them. We're talking about our fees and all 9 yards. I watched them all in, if there wasn't 1, there wasn't 50. Shots of rock. Then there was 50 loads of fill in one of those houses. What's your concrete truss and the pump and all that? I guess my point I'm trying to make is, it's all well and good that you might, we don't see any damage to the roads. We're not going to see them immediately. How do we mitigate that? It might be a year from now and the roads crash. Oh, it looked fine when they were done.
How would we mitigate that? I don't have an answer. I mean, part of what the village has done for years has been overlaying roads and going through and doing that pattern and trying to stay ahead of things that way. But again, our funds aren't there to continue doing it that way. Building is decreasing because we just don't have the lots. So we'll have fewer trucks, hopefully, but it's a good point. I mean, I don't know how we can restrict it. We cannot tell if somebody has a buildable lot, we cannot tell them they cannot build on it or bring their construction crews in.
We got one right here.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Can we share with everybody what you guys are talking about? I'm sitting over here, I can't hear a word you're saying.
Sorry, we were about the roads and trying to keep them
Share with
in,
everybody,
trying to keep them in good condition.
okay?
Sorry, I thought I was talking loud enough, but
Earlier, we were talking, let's stand up and talk, so everybody can understand what you're talking about.
Basically what I asked, I want you to know, the infill, I could look out my back window. They hauled in 50 loads of rock each home. They hauled in 50 loads of dirt. They had countless concrete trucks. So my question when I posed to the board was, okay, well, yeah, the roads don't look damaged, but what about a year from now? How do we mitigate that?
Okay, is there a way to find that contract?
That's what I asked.
yeah, and that's my question was how
If you have a contractor that doesn't obey the rules, then you should have the opportunity to say, you're not working in our village.
I think the point he was making is not that they weren't obeying the rules, but that they're on the roads anyway with their heavy equipment and doing damage that shows up a year or two later.
Our rules.
They are obeying our rules. They are.
Well, you got a sign out the front gate out here, what's it say?
No.
You're right, they don't
Yes.
obey that rule.
Yes, that's an issue, and that's one that we're fining
So the
people for.
contractor you should be able to fine them for not taking your rules.
Yes, and that's what we're doing for people coming in that way now when we can catch them. Hang on, but I think that is why that hill is torn up. I think the issue also was the construction trucks doing what they're supposed to do, coming in the WW gate, and then the asphalt a year or two down the line is torn up because of how heavy they are, and there's not much. Sorry.
No,
Aside from the refundable deposit the builders are charged, is there a fees or building fee that the village collects? for each
No.
lot? Because if there was need to, let's say, tar the cracks in the road, annually or whatever, we could have a fund for that, and I know there's not too many more lots being built on it, but.
So again, I'm not being an attorney. That would be something that we would have to run by the attorneys, because I think people could look at that as an assessment, a special assessment on their lot. So I don't know. I mean,
So
we can.
what's the $7,000?
That's their construction deposit.
go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, I was just gonna point out, the HOA is not a city, the HOA has limited powers. Warren County is the entity that actually gives people permits to do this stuff. They would be the ones that assess fees. Now, there is an option, if people want to become a city, you just need 50% of the people who sign a petition to be a city. You could include the golf course and other lots around here in this part of the city. You still have HOA as a separate, tax revenue from the golf course. Amenities.
Yeah.
You see trucks coming in the front gate all the time. I think if you want to stop that, you need to put, or we need to put a sign at the street. Because by the time they turn in and see the sign at the gate, my guess is most of them are like, I'm already here, I'm going to the gate. So if the sign was out, if you drive a truck, you're not going back all the way out to the road again. I think the sign needs to be out at the road. And one quick side note, I just, when we the other day, that ramp was really slick.
I didn't hear that last part.
The pool ramp is slick.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Very slick. So
It seems like it's
Sorry.
gotten slicker.
Yeah. I don't know. They're supposed to go up.
I'd say the issue is less about the sign, right? Like,
can do what
It-
you want to do, but the point was.
and I think that's more the issue.
Further, so I
Sure, we can look at the placement of the sign for sure.
Yeah.
I've just been in the scope in the past. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying, well, I'll say it. If I pulled in there, I would just be like, I'm not backing out, I'm going in.
You know, we had,
You don't know until you get in.
right. They're a different breed. Their time is their money. We had a company break the lock off the gate and throw it open, and our county sheriff said, well, they do that. Oh, yeah. That was within the last month.
Yeah, sorry.
Bob?
So a little insight to some of the drivers coming in. About a month ago, they already turned in a concrete truck. We were right behind them. He kind of stopped at the gate. We pulled aside. I got out. Well, my wife was trying to tell me, you got to go around. I got out, walked around so I could talk to him closer. And he's saying, but I'm a commercial truck. And it's like, well, we have a commercial entrance. And so they think they're special. And maybe they don't care if the sign was, posted even further upstream. But
And it is something the main contractor is supposed to let them know about. So that's where they'll get fined if a concrete truck comes in and goes to their
in
site.
this case, I think he did back up.
Yeah.
Stick around to watch and follow him.
I've been coming in down there and turned some away. I just block them with the car and get out and let them know they have to go up to the WW gate. But yeah, it's like holding my finger in the dam. It's not going to work for very long.
I would suggest putting, signs further down Dietrich on both ends. I personally witnessed 5 concrete trucks going through the main gate and tried to turn one down, and the guy tried to run me over.
So I think we're told just to take a
When you
picture
have
and
to
send it to the office. And you can deal with the builder.
Yep.
Problem is, front gates ended up being my project. Honestly, I fought it tooth and nail, I didn't want them there. Where do you put them? Because if you had a double gate system, it was closed all the time, trucks could get through. I did not want to do that, but that's where the rest of the trustees wanted.
Which is, that's another thing that we've talked about with the capital improvements, is if we could find a way to, that gate we'd need to do a different gate, do something different there to completely block that off.
The problem is, you have to include Somerset. You don't want a gate at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify one thing. So you as trustees have no, I don't want to say legal right, but you don't have any right as the HOA to not necessarily limit, but even stop the trash trucks and putting, so I kind of compare us to the other 2 big gated lake communities around here, and the other 2 gated lake communities do not have trash service run through their neighborhoods, nor do they have, Innsbruck might have mail run through theirs, but I know Lake Sherwood has all their mailboxes up top. And I'm not saying that's the solution we need, but I just kind of compare it to that of that's the way they keep these vehicles off their streets. So we would have to have a vote to make that happen, is what you were saying? You don't have the authority.
Go ahead, Eric.
They have completely different indentures.
Okay.
100% different. If you could get everybody to actually vote to change the indentures, they could make all those rules.
Right, okay.
And it's
I just want a clarification on that.
it's frustrating
Yeah.
because
We're not going to get that vote. We're not.
Right.
I understand that we can't even get a forum to have electronic voting. We're not going to get one from trash. I understand.
We're still hoping for that, though.
because we're just that stupid. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, we still have Lakes Committee.
Okay. I'm always last. So, we had kind of a rough start to the season. We had our lake cleanup and, we had the big
Yeah, go ahead.
Paul Tucker, 4 lots. Water quality testing. Who's responsible now? How many times a year?
Lake Committee, that would all go through the office of the trustee. Lake Committee helps the office hire and train water patrol. We do lake cleanup. We maintain the buoys. What else do we really tend to do? Boat inspection. We do boat inspection. That's pretty much where our authority lies. Everything else goes back to the trustee.
Were you asking about water quality?
You talking about lake water or
Lake
drinking
water?
water?
Lake water, or the drinking water? The water company. The water company is responsible for testing the drinking water in the village. We have had the lake water tested
This year?
this year. Yeah.
Being in the water business, I thought that we had to have the engineers come out and okay the lake testing. Or is that something that's dropped off?
I.
Places in Basil. What else? They majority test the water in 3 different locations.
Yeah.
Too many people talking. I'm out.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not just during dredging. I personally went out to a lake in 3 different locations, full of water, subject to the testing site in Hazelwood, had that tested so we can have the readings. Because I don't necessarily trust Missouri American Water when they have a spill out here and say, oh, it's all good, and we saw what went away. So no, we can test that water as a manager. I tested a lot.
So, go ahead.
Linda, could you talk a little louder? Or stand up?
They can publicize how much magnesium is in the water.
I can't hear what she's saying.
No. Yeah, Missouri American publishes their water quality stuff. Sorry, too many voices. Go ahead.
You said to Judge Lake and like they have $2 million. I was there a little over a year. How often do we have to do that?
We.
Scary, but just roughly.
It has varied.
About every 10.
Yeah. But
What's the question?
How often do we need to dredge? And there's a lot of factors that go into that, but it's been roughly every 10 years for the last 20, 30 years.
in the last couple of years, in September, we've had a company come out and do a survey, basically a sonar survey, so we can see how much it's silting in and whether we need to do it sooner or later.
Since we don't have lifeguards at the pool anymore, who's testing the water if they're all dead?
The pool company that's actually coming in and cleaning the pool and they test 3 times a week, I think.
3 times a week with the lifeguards used to test it every hour?
No,
I don't think they
wouldn't
did.
have
Oh,
tested
they
it
did.
every hour.
Last year, they were,
They took their breaks and they went around and tested the water?
they called it adult swim, and that was one of the things they did. And I don't know this for a fact, but I think it was different. The difference was because they were there and they were charging us so much more, they were doing something, busy work, so, yeah.
Yeah.
We're contracted with the same company, but it's a different contract. It's just taking care of the chemicals and the cleanliness of it now. And it's a legally binding contract, so I'm sure they're doing it according to code, if we even have a code.
Different storms or this and the other, the pool might need to be tested more than other two.
Well, like he said, they're here 3 days a week. And if you ever think it's not looking good, let us know. And right. Well, and it can happen. You're right, with a lot of rains and stuff like that. Speaking of the pool, everybody's been really good about watching their kids and the adults, you got to watch some of them, but
Yeah.
Do what? We haven't particularly came to an agreement yet on how we're doing the daily visitor passes, but the suggestion is the honor system, and put your money in an envelope, mark your lot number and your name, how many guests you had, and put it in the mailbox. You know, if we can get the Venmo and a person wants to pay by Venmo, you can do that. But right now we don't have a Venmo, and I'm not sure, Jane, do we have any?
I never thought we had final approval to go with it, until we have our plan in place. Like we didn't know how we were gonna use the funds, are we doing Venmo, we wanna make it so people, because we don't have somebody out there every day for the Venmo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we don't want money at the pool.
Yeah.
But anyway, a lot of people have asked, and that's the answer I'm giving them. Until we get anything that works better, that we know is consistent, you know, then we'll
We've said this.
set it up.
We've said this before with that. We're also looking at extending the pool hours now that we've got this set up, going later into the year with it, because again, we've got this set up. So hopefully this is, you know, adding amenity time to the community.
Have they started aerobics in the morning?
Oh yeah. Well,
In the morning?
yes, I know they were doing chair yoga down there this morning. Oh, the water aerobics? Yeah, that started. Yeah, that has started.
In the morning?
Yes.
What are the hours of that?
Was it
The
9?
hour.
They're there Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m.
10, okay.
10 a.m.
Sorry.
Do we have the option with the pool cleaning to extend the passes later, our contract?
I mean, that's one of the things we're looking
Potentially.
at. That's what we're talking about. We'd like to try to do something like that. Anything else? I mean, we really do appreciate everybody coming in. It's going to be a busy couple of months, and look at the newsletter. Karen and Chris were writing a lot of the stuff that you guys were asking. We'll try to get things answered in the newsletter or in an email going out or something like that. But thanks for coming out tonight.
Really appreciate the
we've got
participation.
One more.
Thanks.